Hello, everyone, and welcome to Litter Media Live Fairfield County Special Edition. I'm your host, Mike Smith, and joining us today is Morgan Overbey. She is the Public Information Officer for the Ohio Department of Transportation District 5, which does cover Fairfield and surrounding counties. We're going to be talking about some upcoming projects for our area, and all of that's coming up after this from Classic Brands.
You asked, we delivered. New Mike's Hard Lemonade Zero Sugar. Zero sugar. Amazing taste. Years in the making. Now that's a drink worthy of the name Mike.
Back with Morgan Overbey. Morgan, welcome. Thanks for coming down to visit us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
So District 5, what all counties does that cover approximately?
Yeah, so we cover 7 counties, including Coshocton, Fairfield, Knox, Guernsey, Licking, Muskingum, and Perry counties.
Okay. Now, particularly about Fairfield County, there have been some big projects recently done and some that are coming up. Let's cover some of those. First of all, with one that we did a story at littermedia.com some months back about US 33 and Allen Road intersection.
Yeah, so that actually wasn't a planned project per se. You might have been familiar, there was a fatal crash at the beginning of June that occurred at that intersection. And, not just that crash, but due to a high number of other crashes, we decided to make some changes at the intersections of 33 and Allen Road. So our in-house, our Fairfield County crews removed access through the center median to basically restrict traffic to right turns only at the intersections of US 33 and Allen Road. So we worked very quickly. That fatal accident occurred on June 1st, and by June 12th, we had it restricted to right turns only at the intersections. Since 2017, I think there have been around 59 crashes.
Oh, wow.
Basically at or near the intersection, and more than 32% of those resulted in injuries. So definitely necessary, and when it's spurred because obviously that deadly crash happened, but somebody reached out to us and said, what are you guys going to do? And there are times where ODOT, there is something that we can do, and sometimes there's not. In this case, we acted pretty quickly. Yeah.
As we'll be talking about some other projects that are years in the planning,
Yeah.
as you stated about this one, this was something that ODOT saw, hey, we've got to do something, and we can't wait 2 years to do this.
Right. So some of the folks in the area may be familiar with the US 33 Pickerington Road Interchange project, which is slated to take place starting in 2025. And as part of that interchange project, the Allen Road intersections at 33 were also going to be addressed. So basically, since the 90s, ODOT has been slowly working to make US 33 a limited access highway, meaning that you don't have those signalized intersections and whatnot along US 33. And so we're going to be adding an interchange to Pickerington Road and US 33, along with some other, improvements and stuff, and construction of public service roads to connect to residential areas near that area as well. And it includes the at-grade intersections of Allen Road and 33 will be closed after the completion of the interchange project. And when I say that, I mean there will be cul-de-sacs put at the end of Allen Road, right there at 33. So Allen Road traffic will not be able to access 33.
Gotcha.
They'll be able to go up to the Pickerington Road interchange and use that interchange. So once that project is done, it's estimated to be done in fall of 2027 approximately. The only signalized intersection within District 5's limits that will be left is the one southern on US 33 at Sugar Grove.
Right. Of course, while we're focusing a lot on Fairfield County, US 33 is one that's not exclusively going through Fairfield County.
Right.
There are many other counties that it goes through as well. So anything that happens along that corridor, you obviously have to take into consideration more than just one or two counties' needs.
Yeah, so obviously, like, I cover Fairfield County. I know what's going on in that area, but I work very closely with Districts 10, which is to the south, like they're based out of Marietta, and then District 6, they're based out of Delaware, but Franklin County, you know, Canal Winchester, all that area, we have to work in close proximity with them as well when we're talking about all of these improvements to be done on 33 and making it a limited access highway.
Right. And that is something that's comparable. People that might not be familiar with that term, limited access, something that's comparable to what you would see on an interstate is that you can't have, you know, crossover traffic.
It's something like you see like on 161.
Right.
Yeah, in Licking County and Franklin County. So it's kind of what you see there as well.
We want to come back to 33 here in just a moment, but are any other projects coming up in that area?
Well, I can talk a little bit about the projects that are happening right now.
Okay.
We have two resurfacing projects. One of the resurfacing projects is on State Route 37, and that's a resurfacing between US 22 and the Perry County line. That project has already started. They've placed intermediate asphalt, and when I say that, I mean that's basically the first layer of asphalt, and then they come back and they put the surface layer down.
Right.
So intermediate asphalt has been placed, and then they will be placing the surface asphalt, and the completion date for that project is October 15th of this year. Another resurfacing project, which just got started recently, is resurfacing of State Route 37, basically from I-70 in Licking County to the Lancaster Corporation limits, right there near Ohio University Lancaster area. So pavement repairs have been completed on that project, and then they will start intermediate asphalt and so on and so forth. And for resurfacing projects, motorists are just experiencing flagged lane closures and that sort of thing.
You mentioned 37. That is it's almost become over the years a high volume travel for anyone, not only in Lancaster, but a lot of times here in the Chillicothe area, when we wanted to get to I-70, oftentimes we go that way.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's a road that I grew up in Licking County. I went to Ohio University, and that was the route I took. It was 37 to 33, and that's what I would take. So it's definitely a heavily traveled route.
When you talk about paving or repaving, is that something that you say, okay, every so many years this is going to get done, or is it as an at-need type level?
They look at the grade, I guess I want to say, of the roadway, and they determine when it needs to be resurfaced or even reconstructed. And reconstructed, we have a few of those projects, but what that means is taking the roadway all the way down to the dirt and then building it back up. So some people get confused between resurfacing and reconstruction, but resurfacing would be just taking maybe so much of the roadway off and then putting those intermediate and surface course layers of asphalt down. But reconstruction is a little bit different. But yeah, there's a schedule for everything like that, but some of it is based on the quality of the road and how long it's lasts. But we do like striping and stuff like that every so many years.
Correct. The weight of vehicles is critical in relation to how much damage is done to a roadway, especially asphalt, because that weight has a tendency to sink down farther into the pavement. Truck traffic, and we love our truckers because they get the goods and services we need from place to place. But they're probably the type of vehicle that causes more of that damage than others.
You know, I assume that that's the case, and obviously state routes that ODOT maintains, interstates, U.S. routes, state routes, they're meant for heavier traffic. Right. They're meant for truck traffic. You know, so when we are detouring folks because of a project, we're almost all the time trying to use our routes because they're meant for that heavier traffic. Now, there's times where we use local roads or we work with locals to have a local detour, but it's most of the time we try to have a state detour.
Now that we're in that time of year where a lot of this road work is being done, I know the Ohio Department of Transportation, the Ohio Highway Patrol, Department of Safety, over the last few years has really stressed the importance of slowing down in those work zones.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that we talk about all the time because it seems like crashes are going up and up and up. And it's not just like work zone crashes within ODOT work zones. We're talking about, you know, the contractors that work for us. We're talking about even, you know, a tow truck on the side of the road, State Highway Patrol. When we talk about the move over, slow down law, it's very important for any roadside vehicle that is flashing. You know, let's just even say it's a truck driver on the side of the road that's, you know, broken down or whatever. It is the law to move over and slow. If you can't move over, to slow down. And it's very important all time of the year, but this time of year especially, to pay attention when there are orange barrels, when there are reduced speeds. Sometimes we have variable speed limits where if there's nobody working, the speed limit is how it usually is, and then when there's workers present, it goes down. So you do have to pay attention to all of that very closely.
Because much of the area that we are covering and we're talking about is a rural area, you will get every kind of traffic from the big semi to farm implements to Amish buggies. Right. So, I mean, it's covering the gambit, and those are all things that Ohio Department of Transportation also has to take into consideration. A lot of times in this part of the country anymore, we see the signs that indicate that, hey, you might come up on a horse and buggy here soon.
There are those types of signs, and one thing that maybe I'd like to talk about is this project that we have right now in Fairfield County, and it is a double roundabout project. And when I say double roundabout, there are going to be two roundabouts at two different intersections, a roundabout at each intersection. And it is along US 22, and one roundabout is US 22 and State Route 159, and the other roundabout is US 22 and Delmont Road. So that is something that is currently taking place right now. I believe that, let's see here. We have the northern half of the roundabouts are complete, and westbound traffic is utilizing those roundabouts at this time. And currently, all the intersections are right in, right out only. So that project is estimated to be completed this year, I think sometime in November. But I have had some people reach out to me and say, you know, this is a rural area. How are these farm equipment and trucks and everything like that going to be able to utilize these roundabouts? And I just want to say that, like, one way this is accomplished is with truck aprons. So it's basically an area between the central island and the traveled way that is mountable by larger vehicles. It's not meant for regular traffic, but they're meant for the larger vehicles or farm equipment. So these roundabouts were designed to accommodate semi-trucks hauling a 62-foot trailer, farm equipment with wide bases, like combines with dual front tires that are 18-foot wide, and even large-toed farm equipment with 60-foot planters. I mean, they're meant and designed to accommodate this kind of thing. And I realize that the thought of roundabouts scares people. I realize that. Yeah. But they do reduce crashes by generally about 40%. And then even they reduce serious crashes by 80%. So when it comes to safety, that is first and foremost for us. I think that, let's see here, a signalized intersection has like 32 conflict points. And when it comes to a roundabout, there might be like 8.
Right.
So you're really increasing safety when you're putting in a roundabout. I think it's more about educating the public on how to use them. And typically when they do use them, they experience them, then they're like, this isn't so bad.
This isn't bad, yeah.
This isn't so bad.
Yeah, one of the specialized roundabouts that Morgan was just referring to in Ross County, you can see 2 of those now on 159 up near Kinnickinnick, and it is designed for, just like Morgan said, for the combines and the big implements and semis that have to make that. And I don't know of any accidents, knock on wood, or crashes that have occurred out there yet, and that's been there for a few years.
Yeah, we had 2 safety projects that occurred last year. They were at the intersection of State Route 37 and 256 in Fairfield County, and the other at, I'm having a hard time. Oh, Pleasantville Road and 158 was the other one. And so those were intersection improvement projects, not roundabouts, but adding an additional lane and turn lane and stuff like that. And so far we really haven't seen, much crashes. And what we do is when we do those safety improvement projects, we take a look at them for around 3 years to see, what kind of, if these improvements were successful or what. But so far, it's been really good.
That 159 and 22 area that you mentioned, that's also an area that many people in southern Ohio are familiar with, going up into Lancaster and so forth. So we'll see that soon, I'm sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Morgan, anything else you want to touch on about things that are going on in and around Fairfield County that involve ODOT District 5 before we close?
I don't think so. It's that time of year where it's a busy construction season, and, construction sometimes can take place all year, but a bulk of the stuff going on in Fairfield County is going to wrap up by the end of this year, by the time we get to winter. So, just be patient, and we'll get through it.
And be patient when it gets to be the type of weather that the snow warriors have to be out there doing their job too.
That's true too. So it's just in time for construction to stop. The snow will fly, and our folks will be out there working very hard.
Again, our guest today on the Litter Media Live Fairfield County Special Edition has been Morgan Overbey. She is the Public Information Officer for ODOT District 5. She's been our guest today, brought to you by Classic Brands. Stay with us. Coming up at about 11 o'clock today, as Dan Ramey will be joining me for our daily program here on Litter Media Live. I'm Mike Smith.